Welcome everybody to RPG Renegades, and we're playing the fantastic game City of Mist, which has just released its new edition of the rules, MC handbook and the player's guide. And so we're now in episode 5 of When the World Breaks. So just a quick recap, we are at the city auctions, actually classic auctions in the city. And Raj got an invite from a guy in his taxi, a little brochure which piqued his interest, and all three of our characters, Sam, Raj and Vinzer, are all there checking out this is a high level auction, very expensive items, and lots of interesting goods. In fact, why don't we just, if that's okay, Jeff, we'll maybe pull up the catalogue, especially for anybody that does watch, and get a kind of sense of the kind of things that are auctioned. It's actually some antiquities as well as antiques on the go here, and we've got stuff from the Orient, we've got stuff from Romania and Eastern Europe, and we've got some really ancient Mesopotamian statues and masks and such like. So if you can, that's the catalogue compiled by Greg Sutton of Classic Auctions, and we can see that the statue of the guy, like his hands in a prayer with the big eyes, that's one of the statues. There's two of those actually that really kind of caught Raj into a powerful mythos moment, and same with the mask. Could you just kind of scroll through that if you're able to on this?
Yep. I think, is it working right?
Yeah, it's coming up nice and clear.
Good.
So here we are. Raj, you managed to find a catalogue, and so here's some of the things. You can get some monumental oriental vases, antique stands from it suggests $24,000. Quite cheap.
They're enormous.
Yeah, they're huge. And then you've got your big wardrobes, etc. 20,000. You know, they're expecting kind of starting prices, maybe, you know, starting biz probably just to be maybe under that or around about that.
Very tasteful pair of cabinets.
Yeah, very nice.
Are they armoires?
Are you asking me a question? Oh, I don't know anything. I just whatever it is that I've made up and put there. I did try to do some homework on this, by the way, so there is some truthfulness in the catalogue.
Did you watch an episode of Lovejoy?
No, I just looked at the net. Go ahead, Mick. Sorry, Jeff. Just carry on. Here's some nice pieces in the Oriental collection. So a jade dagger of the dragons, which I think is particularly cool, and a sculpture, the Elder. Now these are a bit better priced. The sculpture's quite small, but $550 or thereabouts. $2,500 for the dagger. Go ahead.
Is that a jawbone? Kind of looks like teeth.
No, I guess it's like a serrated edge to do a cut back the way after you've slashed them the other way, you know, something like that. And then some Mesopotamian collection. So wall reliefs, the protective spirit of Apkallu, depicting an eagle-headed winged man from the temple of Nanutra during the Neo-Assyrian period. All of that is true. So if you've got 12.5 grand, you might want to start a bid about then, or thereabouts.
I would.
Yeah. And this one I found quite interesting. These are winged genie figures, were motif seen in temples and palaces, usually bearded figures with helmets or diadems and winged. Some have interpreted them as antediluvian sages, others godlike generation of humanity, which might be interesting to a mythic kind of person.
Like the Nephilim or something. Maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of maybe conjecture, I don't know, but Go ahead, Jeff.
Not to break the flow here, but Chris, isn't that what's the name of the creatures from D&D with the birds? Aren't they something like that? Akalo?
Aarakocra.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's what that reminded me of.
Cool.
No, it's a Skeksis. Clearly.
Yes.
Oh.
So there's a special feature on the PCs that really caught Raj's attention. So it gives a wee bit of history there about Mesopotamia. The land between the rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, known as the true cradle of civilization, refers to the area equivalent to modern Iraq, ancient and the ancient empire of Babylonia. This exquisite Mesopotamian collection for auction was acquired almost exclusively from archaeological excavations. So it's unusual. A lot of the other stuff's from private sellers and things like that. As part of the Nippur expeditions, which rescued the artifacts from the devastation of war at the holy city of Nippur. Due to an unusually large find, they've basically been able to get these phenomenal pieces, you know, from a very large collection. It says on the sidebar that that may be of interest to like museums and the most astute private collectors. So it's describing them as stone worshippers. It gives a kind of estimated date between 2700 and 3500 BCE, and the bronze mask of an unknown god. And the date is slightly earlier there, but they seem to be getting sold as a collection within the whole range.
Does that, I guess I'm asking out of character too.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice a connection between an unknown god and Mick's character creation idea of the nameless god.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an actual connection, or am I just reading too much into that?
You can read into it whatever you want.
Okay. I will accept that as an answer.
Go ahead. Let's scroll through. Actually, while I was putting this stuff together, I was really fascinated. I know nothing about Romania, and I was really fascinated with the mythology. It is really, really rich. And literally, I've just grabbed a couple of pieces and thought, well, I'll throw that out there. But the picture at the bottom of that page is a genuine rock sculpture by a kind of large river or lake. Because they had giants called the Jidovi. I don't know how you pronounce that. Jidovi or whatever. Probably one of the most beloved folklore creatures. They are described in Romanian legends as kind. So they're kind giants, like friendly giants. And they're patient and they walk with huge steps from one hill to another. And they lived in good communion with humans. It's a land of great mystery, savage barbarism, and exquisite art, like the more modern period pieces that are on display in the auction. So that's just kind of like an intro to that scene. Let's turn the page and we'll have a...
Very cool.
So here's some pieces from the Romanian collection. So we've got so obviously this is like an edited down version because I wasn't spending any more days on it, right? So there are things like very ornate chairs. When you flick through the other pages, there's cabinets, there's big kind of sideboards and lots of furniture from this particular collection, because it says here at the top, all the furniture at the current auction has a unique history coming from a private collection of the current owner of the Count of Dragonistra's castle. So, many items are from the, what does it say there, 15th to 16th century. So things like throne chairs, and there's a few pages of this kind of stuff, a kind of strange wardrobe with a built-in cabinet. It says there the wardrobe was created by a master craftsman and supposed alchemist in the 1400s as a special commission for the Count of Dragonistra. The Count, a lover of the mysterious and the supernatural, explains the grotesque figures and creatures carved in the surrounds and panels. It's also something of a puzzle box having an interior doors or cabinet within the actual wardrobe with a fascinating seal, impossible to open without damaging the structure. So it's kind of more, it's not really a functioning wardrobe, it's more a curiosity piece, that one. I think that's them all, isn't it?
And that's $10,500, you say?
I don't know. Is it?
From $10,500.
Yeah.
So how do I go about making a bid on one of these things?
Well, if you just send me your bank details, you can send me the money, and
Okay.
I'll send it in
Do
the
you
post.
mind if I just do it via my my independent financial advisor?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. His name is Prince Nabutu of Nigeria, and he'll be able to arrange all the payment details with you.
So let's cut to the scene that we finished off with last time. And last time there was a very supernatural kind of moment. Just earlier, before the guys arrived at the auction, Sam and Vinzer had this kind of mythos competition, you know, Sam was shooting arrows into the dartboard while Vinzer was kind of levitating, sliding the dartboard along the wall at first and then levitated it out. Remind me to come back to that, Vinzer, will you? There's something struck me about that whole fun time you had, and the kids were cheering you on, and I think it was Shadow Man versus Food Man, because Sam provided the food, if I remember right.
Yep.
So anyway, we're in the auction house, and this very supernatural thing happened where Raj has this kind of vision of some kind of, you could say, eastern or desert setting. There was sand billowing about, there was standing stones, there was these worshippers all gathering, similarly dressed to the statues, and their eyes, like the statues, were getting wider and wider, as if something of revelation and mystery was pouring into them. And then Raj turns round, he sees his friend Charles that he picked up in the taxi. The glass shatters, there's a scream, and the statues slide across the floor. And here we are right now. And here he is. Charles is, hey.
Hello.
So you stroll towards Charles and maybe Vinzer and Sam kind of see Raj wave. I mean, the great thing is Raj has an orange turban, right? Or maybe he changes at different days.
It's a high visibility orange.
Yeah, so I mean, you can spot him across a room, no problem at all. So maybe you guys just join him as he goes over to speak to Charles. And Charles, you can tell Charles is Charles is loving it. You know, he's in his element. You know, he's chatting to people, he's catching up with some people he's maybe not seen for a while, but at the same time he's talking business. You maybe noticed he handed out a card to somebody else and shook their hand, and maybe somebody that looked quite wealthy, because Charles makes his living as evaluations and special commissions in antiquities. So basically
bless his cold little heart.
He buys and sells on behalf of wealthy people. And he quite clearly enjoys his job. However, his job doesn't mean that he's necessarily full of himself. Raj, you found him he did have a few drinks, right enough, but you found him to be quite friendly, and he seems to be that way today. He's like, yeah, Raj, isn't it? Yep, my taxi man, my chauffeur. How are you doing?
Right. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Is this, and I'll point back to the statues. Is this part of it?
Oh, you mean what happened over there? Did somebody knock into that cabinet? It looks like it broke.
They came sliding out just now. I wondered whether it was part of the presentation.
Oh dear me! That must have been a mistake. I seriously hope they're not
theatrical.
Yeah. No, they don't do things like that, Raj.
Oh, what are those pieces? Quite striking.
Have you? It hands you over a catalogue, and you basically do what we've just done. You know, you have a little look through and.
Mesopotamian, you say?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, not part of the world that your generations come from, but
No, not at all. No, I'm from Queens, but it's
And he does that. He laughs. He likes the joke.
it's a fascinating piece. Do you know much more about it than is in the catalogue?
No, actually, I don't know a huge amount. My friend, he works at Classic Auctions here. Greg, he compiled. That's his job here. I'm actually looking for him, but I imagined if they've had a wee incident, he might be run. And just at that, he looks over and he's like, "Greg, come on, you get a drink." And you see this guy kind of coming towards he's like kind of like 2 minutes, and he talks to a couple of guys, and they're sorting out, clearing up the mess. In fact, the staff have already, they put their white gloves on when they to kind of handle the statues. They've moved the statues away through to the auction room. So,
and how tall are the statues? I should have asked.
I think they were about 4 foot.
About 4 feet.
Yeah, about 4.5 foot, something like that. So not quite life size, but big enough,
Quite large for big lumps of stone, especially.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be putting one of those in my bag. Or
So,
under my turban, as the case may be.
So Greg comes over and he's like, "How are you doing, Charles?" And a warm handshake, and there's a couple of jokes, between them. They obviously know each other quite well. And Charles says, "We were at university together, so old college chums."
Oh, how do you do, Raj Singh?
Hi, Raj. Pleased to meet you.
And I'll shake Greg by the hand. Charles was just telling me that you were responsible for compiling the catalogue.
Yes.
I'm very interested in those pieces in the well, actually over there in the cabinet that just had the accident.
Yeah, I don't know what on earth. I suspect one of these posh ladies in their big high heels maybe fell into it or something like that,
You know what people are like when they've been drinking. Very unreliable. That mask is rather fetching, isn't it? Do you know much about it?
It's kind of I'm not an expert. It's not my. I'm more kind of my thing is more like the European stuff, some of the Orient, but it's an interesting story now that you ask, because all of these finds are just a small part of a very large find. Some of them were, I believe the trip was partly sponsored by one of the universities, so the university has got some for museum piece and such like. But the mask and the statues were together, so although it's a bit dangerous actually auctioning pieces together, because sometimes you get less money for it, frankly. But because it was so unique, we wanted to present them as a potential. He kind of turns around and he says, "I know the museum in the city is very interested, so they'll be one of our main bidders probably." But yeah, the mask and the statues. There were some other statues within the find in the temple, and it tells you in the catalogue some of that stuff. But the mask and the statues kind of have slightly conflicting dates. So the archaeologists are suggesting that the mask was, the temple was maybe opened up. They had maybe the worshippers, the statue figures, and maybe they brought the mask in at a later date because it's Bronze Age. It's bronze. Statues are a little bit early for that. So they came as one find, and we were very fortunate to be able to acquire them. We already have interest in them. The auction wouldn't take too much of a risk in very high priced items without knowing that there's already interest. So we know there's already interest on the pieces. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. You know, I think that was the archaeologists were telling us, but you know, I because I need to do the research for the actual catalogue, I was in touch with one of the archaeologists, and he was saying that they think that the temple was reopened and that was put in, maybe at a later date, simply because the mask can't be that old. So they think.
How fascinating.
Unless somebody had discovered how to do bronze in a very skilled way before any other recognised time, but you know, that would be ridiculous.
Oh, I suppose so. History is a strange thing, though, isn't it? Well, I'm sure you gentlemen have plenty to discuss with each other. I shall resume my meandering.
And he kind of looks at you a little bit, you know, slightly cheekily, but slightly serious. And will you be bidding?
Well, did you know there are one or two things that have tempted me?
Good. I hope you enjoy the auction. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. And I shall walk off back towards those same things.
Okay. But before Greg disappears, anybody want to talk to him about anything else, or you?
I think Sam is definitely out of his element here.
Yeah.
And he wants to ask questions, but he's afraid of looking like an idiot, so he's just kind of like keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah, I think Vinzer would probably do something similar. He'd probably end up saying something that would end up with his foot in his mouth. Like, oh, so is these guys, they made the pyramids, right?
Is there anything, whether just for yourselves or your characters, anything on the catalogue that was particularly interesting to you, or not? Just for fun.
I took a notice at the name. That's a very cool and, I don't know, Count of Dragonista.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have any particular meaning that?
Oh, you could always ask Greg before he disappears.
Yeah, I'll do that then. I'll just before he leaves.
Yeah, so he's chatting to Charles just before he heads off, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, well that's another interesting story as well." He says the Count of Dragonista was quite a cruel and evil person. You know, he was into you know, like black magic and things like that.
Mm.
And so he looks over his other shoulder and he's like, well, between us, and he kind of looks at Charles as if, is he okay to kind of talk business with you guys, you know? He said, he says the current owner of the castle is one of these Russian kind of oligarchs, you know, who just they've made far too much money in criminal activities and oil, you know, and so he has absolutely. I mean, so we've won a watch. It's an absolute gift for us. He has contacted a number of auction houses in America, and he's basically wanting rid of everything. He's probably going to fill the castle now with some horrendous modern crap, you know, made of gold or something like that, because these guys just have so much money, it's disgusting. But it's our benefit. So we've got all of these period pieces now, and yeah. So I don't know if you saw the catalogue, but what's in the catalogue is true. He had some wizard of the time, you know, or I think they call them alchemists, but I think it was probably looking at the history that I looked at, it's probably a bit darker than that. So we're talking about back in the 1400s now, you know. So according to the legend, the cabinet. So this isn't in the book because this is where it goes into fairy tale, you know. But according to the legend, the cabinet or the wardrobe, whatever you want to call it, because it's kind of both in a strange way, was used by the Count to supposedly summon a hordes of demons, if you believed in that. You know, obviously they did back in the day, or supernatural creatures or something like that, some kind of evil creatures, supernatural creatures, to defeat the Ottoman invasion of their empire. And history actually tells us that they did defeat them against all the odds. So they did win the battle. Possibly it's more to do with the brutality of the Count and his army, rather than wizards and witches and things like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, as I say, we've benefited. It's a bit of a strange one, but we've already got some interest. And he has a look about. He says, I can't see. He says, look, if you look over there, there's a gentleman with a little goatee, beard and moustache, and a very beautiful wife. He's a very, very wealthy by inheritance collector. So he's already expressed an interest and put a bid in already.
I'm struggling to catch Vinzer's eye as to whether or not we should mention our Russian name to Greg to see if it's the same guy. Trying to say all of that in just a look.
I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah, so like Vinzer's like he's just kind of sitting there and he like sees like somebody with like a plate of like hors d'oeuvres or something like that passing by, and he's just, and then he like looks back over and he sees you making that look, and I'm like,
okay. So Greg, does the name? No, I just lost it.
Anatoly.
Yep, that's it. Anatoly. Does that Anatoly Vidalis? Does that ring a bell? Is that the same name you were speaking of that owns the castle?
He pauses, his face buffers for a moment, and then he's like, "No, I never heard of him." But just watch today. Watch the auction. The couple I'm talking about, and you see this stunning woman. In fact, we might even have a picture. There's a black and white one.
You were talking about the bloke's beard for a minute. I thought you were going to say we see this stunning beard, this stunning goatee,
Stunning woman, and this chap. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by messages here from family members. Yeah, what's the name of them? I don't know if I've got it there. Anyway, he points out the couple. Oh, Alex and Veronica Sterling, the son of a wealthy family estate. So he lives in the old town, you know. So I don't know, Jeff, if you can see. I think it's probably about picture 3 or 4. It's a black and white, the two of them.
The group picture.
No, just the two, just a couple.
Okay, hold on.
We'll do the group one in just a minute or two, actually.
Okay, found it.
There we go. High quality Photoshop, extraordinary work going on there.
That's Jean Harlow.
So you can pop that away.
She was in fact married to William Powell.
Yeah, that was before she married this guy, though.
Yeah, they were very
Alex Sterling. So
he was heartbroken when she died.
So they basically, he says, he will wait. When people have this kind of interest, he will wait and he'll come in with a bid that is just like, will blow you away, you know. Anyway, guys, it's been nice talking to you. I need to head off.
Mm-hmm.
And off he trots. So, anything, Vinzer, that you wanted to comment on or check out, catalogue wise, or anything else that's going on?
No, I think that Vinzer hasn't really had a thing for history. Like he's probably looking through the catalog and be like, "Oh, that looks pretty neat." You know, like it's just eye candy at
Sure.
that point. But he's like,
Okay.
he doesn't fully understand what he's looking at.
So as you're looking through the catalogue, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like you guys talk about Craigslist, don't you? And or if you're on a plane and it's, you know, you get the catalogues in planes and it's just really random stuff, you know, everything from antiques to toys, you know. And maybe you reflect on the competition that you and Sam had back at the bar. And something just strikes you. You remember you using your shadow powers, you manipulated the shadow across the wall to carry the dartboard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, because you can tell me, but maybe you did something and you didn't even realize, and all of the fun and the kids and entertaining the kids, and it was almost like a magic show, you know, and the kids were loving it. Maybe you did something that you've never done before, because you actually moved the dartboard not on the wall, manipulated by the shadows, but you then brought it into the doorway, the center of the doorway, like suspended in the air. And the only shadow maybe that was cast, because it was in the sunlight, was the shadow of the dartboard on the ground. So here you had the shadow on the ground and the dartboard actually hovering above its shadow. Because normally when you move your shadows, it's like the shadow contacts things, or you contact the shadow, connect with the shadow, right?
Right.
Any thoughts about that?
So I think it's something that he's kind of done, but he hasn't gone to like great lengths with it. Like he's messed around with the idea of like literally lifting shadows off of the surfaces to like manipulate them for, you know, to carry like small objects, stuff like that. I think there probably at this point is like a weight limit for him, like things that he's tried to do, he just can't quite pick up. Like he can't pick up a car and like throw it across the city or something like that, you know. But like smaller things like what's that?
Or can he?
And maybe give it all you got will allow me to do that. But I think that with smaller things, like the dartboard's probably like 8 pounds at most. You know, he's picked up small things and kind of moved them around and stuff like that. And I think he's probably used it at one point in the past where he's had to make a drop for his courier delivery, and he's at one of the gates that for some reason he was buzzing, and the security guard must be asleep or something like that, and it's not answering or something like that. So he's able to like manipulate the shadow a bit to be able to like tap the card reader or something like that on the other side of the gate, like just out of reach, that he's able to like let himself in. So I think it's like small things like that that he's been able to do with it so far.
It just strikes me, maybe it strikes Vinzer that where could you take that? Because if you now normally your shadow contacts things to do things, right? It's kind of like you've used people's own shadow against them to attack them, right? But then the shadow, there's contact there, and suddenly, you know, maybe you've not done anything even as large and as heavy as a dartboard before, and now you're actually almost like using the shadow and the object as if there's a magnetic repelling force between them, you know. What else could you do? What else could you levitate with shadows? What could you move across a room? Just a thought that maybe strikes me, but maybe it strikes Vinzer. Just at that point, there's an intercom comes on. The auction will start in 5 minutes. Please make your way through from the reception area, and we will inform you of the start. So, Jef, if it's okay, could you put the All the Faces, the auction picture up for me. I think it's number 1 probably. And so guys, what I want to do here is we've got another picture for you. I want you to just have a look at it and just have some fun checking the characters out. And if you want to do anything with that, that's fine. If you don't, then the auction will kick off. There we go. So you can see the couple I mentioned there. And some interesting faces there. That obviously there's a lot more people in the auction than this, but this is just a little cross section of some of the interesting and unusual people that are around. We'll say that the smiling character on the back left is Charles. How's that?
Okay.
Because he's quite happy, you know, he's enjoying himself. He's just made another contact today with somebody that may be employing him in the future, and yeah. So everybody's kind of getting together. They're finding a seat. They're allowed to bring some drinks on the table. You can see lots of money in the room, not just in the picture there, but in the room, and a whole cross section actually.
The man sitting down with a stern look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I don't know, I can't remember exactly his name. Declan,
yeah. Declan Lestrange.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That is, yeah.
I see the two gentlemen on my right as I'm looking at the photo.
Mm-hmm.
With each of them have the dark, mysterious fedoras.
Yeah. Would
one of those possibly be the same dark, mysterious guy that we saw at the college when the?
No, that guy was wearing a Stetson. He had a long kind of, I think it was long coat, yeah, as well. But
okay, for the detective, I guess, right?
No, it's not either the detective or the other guy that drove away in a car.
Okay. And then the guy with the big mustache,
yes,
reminds me of our first episode. And I can't remember his name either, but was it Mouse or something? Or
it was Mousy. He's actually, as they're sitting down, he's sitting down with another small guy, a little bit wider than he is. And yes, the guy with the moustache is a little bit kind of twitchy, you know. And in our other scenario, the Wild Hunt, actually, Mitosis was his friend for a little while.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But he's sitting next to another kind of baldy, kind of round-faced chap who looks like he's slightly overheated and flustered, but he's there too.
So that is supposed to be him then, that character?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then I'm not sure, but the Asian guy right in the middle, is that, I don't know how to say his name either. Ao Weiwei? Is that who that is? The Chinese artist?
No, he's a lot younger than that.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
He
20 or 30 years younger than that.
He's a Japanese man, that wee guy.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
So I've got another auction picture, but what happens is, so I'll just tell you briefly. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through the bidding of every item, but unless
you can't do like the auctioneer. Hey,
no, I wouldn't attempt to. Not when they were recording this. So, so what they do is they start off with the Oriental pieces. You see the little man that you just mentioned. He takes an interest in some of these, and he gets some of the younger men to bid on especially the jade pieces that you saw in the catalogue, the little jade elder and the jade knife. And then it moves on to the Romanian and Eastern European parts, and there's a lot of furniture in this section. So this goes on for a little while, and you maybe get yourself refreshments and stuff like that. And the kind of next to final piece that's bid is that big cabinet we were talking about, that Greg Sutton, the compiler of the catalogue, told you about, the kind of legend. And as soon as that goes, you see the guy with the beard and moustache and his beautiful wife, Sterling. He called him Mr. and Mrs. Sterling. You can see as soon as that piece is brought out, he sits up straight, and he's got eagle eyes on it. And exactly what Greg said, he waits. There's 2 or 3 bids. It's kind of slightly under its asking price, and then it kind of emerges. Then he starts to bid, and then he bids about 3,000, 4,000 more than anyone else, and it kind of finishes the bid. The thing is, it's a curiosity, and would appeal to certain people, but not particularly functional, maybe. And so as soon as that bid's over, something else comes out in the Romanian and Eastern European collection, and you see him standing up with his wife, talks to his wife quietly, and the two of them leave, almost as if you get the impression that they've gone to collect their item. It was you show up at a store where you have to order something, and it arrives and you go and get it, and that's their way. The guy's obviously kind of serious about his collection. Then we come on to the Mesopotamian stuff, and you see when that stuff emerges, and maybe you could stick the picture up for us of the statues and the mask, if that's okay. I think it's number 2 or 3. Thanks, Jeff. And so you see the little small moustached gentleman Jeff was talking about, and the little bald-headed chap next to him. They're both kind of about 5'5", 5'6", or something like that. And they're kind of talking, and the little moustache guy's going, and his wee moustache is bouncing up and down as he's talking to him and whispering away to him. And the man next to him is bidding for it. There's a few other bids here and there, and it hits its asking price in the catalogue, and it's going another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8,000 above, 9,000 above, 10,000 above. And you see the little bald-headed man, pad a handkerchief on his forehead. He's sweating a bit because obviously he's reaching his financial limit. And then finally the bidder that's bid against him kind of shows or finished their interest, and that little chap just bids another 1,000 above, and it's sold to the City Museum. And there's a round of applause and all that, because there's a few people in the room that are obviously pleased that the City Museum have just acquired that piece. And just then you hear a scream. It's not a woman's scream, it's the scream of a man, and it sounds like it's coming from some back room. And the auctioneer, as you can see in the pose, is kind of freezes, and he's he kind of looks at the staff, and so there's people muttering and mumbling, and something's obviously happened in a back space. And then the auctioneer says, well, okay, everybody, that was the last piece of the auction. Feel free to stay around. There are some meals being served for those of you that like to purchase your dinner this evening here and in the restaurant. And he's looking off to the side again to hear. There's a lot of movement, staff are kind of working out what on earth's going on. Okay, so you can purchase your dinner, or you can investigate, or you can go home, or you can do whatever the heck you want, because it's a role-playing game.
I got mixed up. Was the mask and the two statues sold as a unit?
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So as people are beginning to stand up, the lights flicker and go off for about 3 or 4 seconds and come back on again. And Vinzer, you just for a moment, but you're sure it's your imagination, you think you see something crawling up the side of one of the pillars. And then the lights flicker again. And then this woman lets out, you know, people are now beginning to get up, but they're kind of, obviously there's an electrical fault, you know. And this woman lets out an almighty scream within the area you're in.
Is this the second scream that we're hearing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You said it's like up on the wall?
Yeah. It looked like, do you know, have you ever seen something at the corner of your eye and it just kind of, a fast movement? That's what it was like. But you kind of almost just out the corner of your eye, it was like a movement, like something was climbing up. But it's dark, and then the lights flickered and it was dark. You feel a drop of temperature right now, although the other guys don't seem to notice it.
All right. I kind of, I assume I'm still staying next to Sam. Raj, were we all still like,
yeah,
next to each other? All right. So Vinzer will just be like, I don't know what that's all about, but I'll be right back. And he's gonna go and like try and find like a hallway or somewhere that he can get like a brief moment where he can't, like, nobody's around, that he's gonna be able to try and look for a way to get to be able to shadow walk, so at least he can take a look inside. But before he gets, like, when he gets to the spot where he thinks he is, he takes a second because he's like hesitant about going back in still. So he's like, it's just one time. Don't know what that thing was. What are the odds that you're gonna run into it again? Come on, you got this, dude.
Okay, so you're going to shadow walk to where the original scream was? Is that what you're saying? Where do you want to go?
I think that I want to try to up along the walls. Was there like a second floor, like a balcony or something like that?
No, it's like a very high ceiling, so it's almost like 2 floors worth of, you know, ceiling, big open space, and it's got these kind of slightly Greek kind of style, you know, pillars built into the wall. It just looked like something was scuttling up the wall, right? But it's gone, and so yes, so you're almost like in a big rectangular space of the auction room, and then you've got next to that room would be where all the display cabinets were for the viewings. And then there are other back rooms, like where the stuff gets delivered and all the rest of it. So there's kind of the delivery warehouse space, you could say, at the back as well. Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave this part up to chance. But what Vinzer is initially trying to do is to like peek into the like shadow verse to see if he can, like similar to when we were at the docks and he was able to look in and see the creature that was in there.
Yes.
If he can like look in that general direction and see if he can see anything scuttling around, like he'll try and step into it, and wherever I come out, I'll leave that up to you. But
okay, I mean, you've got the lay of the land of the building. You've obviously not been into the back of the building, but you've been into the kind of the main areas. So if you want to kind of make it a random thing, I'm happy to do that. So go ahead.
I'm totally fine with that, just because of his uncertainty in in this manner right now.
So what I want to do is, because you've got a weakness.
Sorry, I can still hear you. I just gotta let my dog out of the room. That's
yeah,
all.
okay. You've got this weakness, which I would maybe tag, and you've got the effects of the down at the docks. I've called it, because of the title of your weakness, I've called what else lurks in the shadows, because I know you've got what lurks in the shadows already.
Yeah.
And that's a -2. I'm going to tag your weakness, and I want you to tell me what you want to tag to arrive safely somewhere. You're kind of going into that zone.
I keep calm under pressure from my occupation.
Nice one.
My occupation.
I think we're going to call the move sneak around. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Keeps calm under pressure.
Yep.
I'll keep the Shadow Walker tag. I think that's honestly
okay.
Gonna be it.
So you've got 2, and that cancels out, if you like.
Cancels it out, right?
It cancels out the 2 negatives, so you're on a straight dice roll. See how you go on.
So as I find where my dice moved to. I did not organize my desk.
I'll come back to Raj and Sam in a minute, because when he goes in there, something else might happen.
I mean, something else is definitely going to happen. I don't know what happened to my dice. I'm sorry.
While you're looking.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I was just going to ask a quick question. I wanted to ask earlier, but forgot. The statues that are missing the eyes, when I looked at them, is that just like, was that just like their artistic, they were made that way? Or does it look like they held like a jewel or a gem, or like, did it look functional and something was missing?
I think it's actually painted, so rather than a hole, although it looks like, I know it's really dark. So for some reason they've chosen, so it's not missing anything, to answer the question. So they've chosen to give them these huge eyes for some reason.
Yep. Okay.
And what we'll do, go ahead, Vinzer.
I was gonna say I ended up with a 9.
Oh, well, nice roll. So it says, so sneak around. I don't think we've used this move that I can remember. When you use your abilities to act secretly or deceptively, you roll plus power. On a hit, everyone that should fall for it falls for it. On a 7 to 9, it's complicated. So someone unimportant notices you, but that just made them important. You are perceived only by a secondary sense, or you leave something important behind to be discovered. So I'm picking, so that's a 7 to 9. So I'm picking that you are perceived by a secondary sense. Whatever it is you're engaging with right now, somebody or something knows that they're aware of you, but they can't see you directly. Okay. So what happens is you tell me what it looks like when you go into here again. And the only kind of direction I want to give you is you are sucked into a certain space in the building. All right. So normally you just kind of work your way around, but when you go in there, something like pulls you in.
So I think he kind of steps in, like when he gets his head through and he starts looking around first and like cautiously taking the step in. Before he gets the chance to actually set his foot down, he can feel like something pulling at him, like not necessarily something like an actual grip on him, but it just feels like he's compelled forward. So that basically is basically, it's kind of like jumping into a pool of cold water. Like it's just all in at that point. And it's like an initial shock, but then he's able to bring it back and know like what he's trying to see, what he's looking for. And I think with like the lighting in the building of the museum and everything like that, it creates these areas of like a slightly lighter purple,
Right.
maybe in certain areas, like the big chandeliers or something like that is probably going to have a brighter effect in there. I can still see my breath, and it's not at this moment. Normally, I can kind of faintly make out like outlines of like walls and objects and stuff like that would be physically there, but he's not noticing them.
Yeah.
It's all he's getting is like the very low light sources.
Mm-hmm. I like that, and there's a kind of shimmering, and you are sucked into the warehouse space here.
Oh shit.
And you hear running feet leaving the place. Somebody, obviously, there was a scream. There's one of the warehouse staff there getting mauled by the creature that you see in front of you. And, you know, it's like, you know, you were describing that kind of hazy kind of colour, purplish, and you were, when you were kind of pulled in, it was almost like it wasn't the creature wasn't maybe intentionally pulling you in, but because of the way it's moving, it was like a kind of magnetic draw, you know, like some kind of pull to that location. And it's the guy's mangled, right? And Jeff's scaring us. And so once you kind of, it's a shadowy warehouse, right? I'll say this as well. You hear a vehicle drive away. Like there's a off to the side, or the other side of these the shelving and all that you can see the light of the doorway where the vehicles come and go, and a vehicle's just driven away. One of the delivery trucks is gone, and as you kind of materialize, if you like, you know, because you're half in shadow and you're now half in some of the light, that creature looks up, doesn't look right at you, it looks up, and you hear a chittering kind of sound coming from it, and then from the side of its face, it's got these kind of I don't know what you call the bits in a bird's feather, the kind of middle bit, like the barb bit, the bone bit, and it's as if that stands up on these feathers. It's very kind of owl-like, but really hellishly creepy version of an owl, you know. And it's like, wah! And it's like its eyes are starting to roll, and you know that if you don't get out of here right now, that it's kind of smelling the atmosphere. I'll cut right now into the auction house, okay? So you guys are, you've just seen, you saw Vinzer said to you, I'm going to do something, and he just he did his thing. But it's almost as if as soon as he disappeared, the light started to flicker again. And Sam, something catches your attention on the ceiling as the lights flicker, and you see a shape basically hanging onto the ceiling, just like we saw there in the warehouse, and it's pulling itself along the top of the roof, the ceiling, sorry, in the shadows as the lights flicker.
The same creature? The same?
It's exactly the same as the one that you saw at the warehouse. If you saw, I can't remember if you actually saw that or not, but I think you did. But it's the same as the one in the picture. I'm not going to tell if it's the same one because you don't know, because you're not in the warehouse.
I was under the impression the one at the warehouse was huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big. This one, I would say, this one is maybe a little bit smaller looking than the one in the image we just looked at.
I try to grab Raj right next to me and shake him like, you see that too?
Raj, how are you feeling about what's going on?
I'm not sure I'm able to even process it. Is this a vision that I'm having?
Is that what you say to Sam?
Yeah. Am I having a vision or something? Is this all really going on?
He's been on the ganja, Sam.
Well, I'm seeing it too.
I'll say the place is really chaotic right now. I mean, people are now really spooked. You don't know if they've actually seen this thing or not, but
do we, as characters, do we know that there is this proclivity of people to explain away these things?
Yes, you've discovered it in the past when things have happened.
Okay. So we know that possibly they are not seeing what we are seeing.
Possibly.
Can I do a quick look around, like to see, like, are people actually looking and focused on it, or are they oblivious?
I'll say that because of the position of the room and the things that's going on with the lighting, the fact that the ceiling's so high, you think that nobody's noticed it.
Okay.
Apart from when you look up to the front, the auctioneer is still frozen in some kind of pose, and you see him like that, and his mouth is absolutely like hanging down, like he is like frozen in fear.
I suppose the next question is it aware of us?
As you guys are talking, you see the bristles on its arm. It kind of flickers, the lights flicker, and then you don't see it when the lights come on, and it flickers, and it's kind of half light, half, almost strobe effect, and you see the bristles on its arms spread out, and there's really large kind of feathers, and it looks like there's some kind of skin, under its kind of arm down, like a flying squirrel kind of type of thing, and it flies down and lands on top of the auctioneer, and it's these fingers are like probably that long, whatever that is, 15 inches, and these talon things just like it covers over them, and you just hear a crunch, and the lights flicker, and it's dark.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just calling up the other bit of my character sheet.
Raj, you notice is maybe Sam, you've caught the full picture of everything that's just happened, but Raj is kind of trying to work out where he is right now. But Raj, as you're kind of looking and wondering, you look over and you see the little guy with the moustache and the baldy-headed guy, and the little guy with the moustache is quite wiry. He's kind of grabbing the little guy by the shoulders. And, we must go. It's the things of power, he says, and he pulls him away. And he looks quite frail, the wee guy, but he's got lots of energy, kind of nervous energy,
I'm committing their faces to memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if we should do something.
Okay, as you wonder what to do, we'll cut back to Vinzer in the warehouse. What's going on, Vinzer? Are you going to go give it, as we would call here, a square go? Are you going to go toe-to-toe with this thing, or are you getting the hell out of there?
Toe-to-toe. I don't even know how to even approach this thing. Truly, I think keep calm under pressure no longer applies here to Vinzer. So I think when he made, honestly, I got chills when you made the sound and did that whole thing. So I was like, you know what, Vinzer in this case is just, he lets it slip, and he just shit, and he tries to book it for like the closest area that he can like try and like jump out of the shadows. Like you can actually like he's like scrambling for an exit at this point, and he's like feeling along the wall until he finds the one where he just falls out.
Okay, I'll give you a choice, and you can either run towards daylight, which is maybe about eight or 10 shelves away, you know, because there's a kind of like a space between them. You can head for daylight, which will take you outside the building at the back, or you can head, there's a door there that looks like it goes in like a staff entrance into one of the areas in the actual building, maybe close to the display area and all that kind of thing. So you can choose which one you want to run.
Which one's closer?
It's more of a run to daylight. It's more of a run by the shelves, so that might be a risk. But then turning your back on the creature and going through the door, which is a lot nearer, might also be a risk. If I take it you're not going in the shadows, you're actually physically running. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I think like he wants to get out of the shadows and get back to the group at this point. So whichever I think appears to be closer for him to get out of the shadows.
Yep.
Because I don't quite think he's learned how or knows how to just drop from the Shadowverse. I think he still needs to use like, say, ports of entry. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So that fight or flight thing is, you know, just is going crazy in you. The quickest way out of this room, and you can close a door behind you, would be the door into the other part of the building. You could just keep your fingers crossed and hope that in that display area that the lights are still on in there, you know. So you could go for that if you want.
Yeah, I'll do that then.
What I want you to do is face some danger.
Okay.
Because you're turning your back on the danger that's near you. As I said, it hasn't eyeballed you just yet, but as you make a move, you know, you're like running in fear pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
So what would you want to tag?
For all I know, it has seen me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what would you tag?
I'm not going to tag keep calm under pressure. And I'm going to give myself the weakness for the what lurks in the shadow. Are you applying the what else lurks in the shadow, or?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because what else lurks in the shadows is a fear-based tag.
Okay.
That in this situation right now is a plus, because it's a +1 because the fear is kicking in. The flight response is kicking in, which means your adrenaline is high. So that actually helps you move faster, quicker, more fearfully. So that's a plus for you.
Okay. And then Shadow Walker, just for the sake of using the shadows. I do have one for Unexplained Whispers, and we haven't used it too much. But maybe having the Unexplained Whispers just kind of like resonating and emanating in the background until it's like, you know, it's like whispering a word, it's out of focus, you can't quite make it out until I'm about to hit that point, and then the whisper becomes clear enough that I can act on it.
So just tell me for my benefit, are you actually doing the shadow walking then right now? Is that what you're doing? Or are you physically running out of there?
Well, sorry, I guess I was misunderstanding that, because like basically running through like the shadow walking, being in the shadow realm sort of thing, and just running out of it as I can.
With the knowledge that these creatures move in the shadows, right?
Yeah.
Okay, doc. So so you've got +1 from what else lurks in the shadows, and you're tagging what else? Shadow walking.
Shadow walking.
So I know the whispers, you know, it's not clear, there's no clarity there. What do you imagine that it's saying to you that helps propel you to kind of justify your +1? What is it that's helping guide you or propel you in the right direction to get you out of here.
I kind of feel like the whispers, like in this case, is almost like, until it becomes clear, it's like it's the sound of Sam and Raj, like hearing their voices, like almost as if the shadows are kind of projecting that to a point where it's saying, you know, like this is where they are, you know.
Okay.
And to the point where I can hear them, and that's how I feel I'm going in the right direction.
Right. So we'll say that, see when I described in the auction room how the lights were flickering on and off. So when the lights flicker off for like 2 or 3 seconds, it's like you hear those voice for 2 or 3 seconds. Like it's like somebody with a microphone that talks right. And so it's like you're hearing pieces of words when it's dark and when the light's on, so that you're literally getting like intermittent sound from Sam, and what you're hearing in terms of their what you're hearing in terms of their voice, it doesn't sound too encouraging in terms of the tone of what's going on. So go ahead and roll with your pluses, and I think you tagged your weakness as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so then it would just be a +2.
Yep, that's right.
I got a 7.
Okay. That basically means that I give you a status of 1, right? So you've already got this fear status. Instead of giving you a separate status, okay, I'm going to up that to a 2, because I think it relates to what else lurks in the shadows.
Okay.
And so in game terms, what that means is I'm now changing the name of that status and upgrading it to, we are going to call you Hunted. So now not only are you aware of what's in, but you're now got a 2 at the moment. I want you to make sure you tag your attention on your mythos, will you? Because you've that's twice you've actually invoked your weakness. All right. So you've now got a 2 hunted. All right. So you feel like you weren't sure what lurked in the shadows, but now you're aware, and you feel like there is an awareness of who you are in the shadow realm.
Okay.
But you get there. You're in the room, and Sam, what do you want to say? I'm aware, by the way, time might be a bit tight for you, so just keep your eye on. If you want to drop out, we can maybe just finish up in a few minutes. Chris, okay?
I do have to wrap it up pretty soon.
Okay.
But...
So, Vinzer appears. Sam and Raj, what on earth are you doing with the horrible things that have just happened in the auction room?
I'm going to try and make it go away. I'm not sure how I'm going to try and make it go away, but I think I was going to try to use a mixture of reality warping and teleport, and possibly even synchronicity, to just put it somewhere else. Actually, even possibly even taking in every back alley.
Okay. Yep. See where you're going with that.
To just try and stick it somewhere where no one goes in the city, like some old deserted dock full of scrap where people take stolen cars to burn them out or something.
Sam, I'll come back to you in a wee second. Sam, what's your response? What's your kind of gut response to what's happening?
I'm a little bit torn because I'm really like it's all overwhelmed. The thing that dropped on the auctioneer, is it totally black and pitch? Is it dark in here now?
It's still flickering on and off, so you're still getting that kind of strobe thing on and off.
And yet I'm seeing that thing attack the auctioneer in these flickerings.
Yeah.
And then
if you imagine, you know how a strobe light makes it look like slow-mo, right?
Yeah.
So slow-mo, the thing came down, although it wasn't that slow, but it looked like slow-mo. Slow-mo, it came down, descended on him, kind of leant over him, the claws going in, and the kind of the beak, kind of, you hear a crunch sound. And what I will say is you palpably feel the fear level in the room like go up about 3 notches. Now, so you don't know if you don't know because of the pandemonium, but you know that there is an atmosphere of fear being induced with everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I see Vinzer appear.
We'll say, well, I'll give you a moment to kind of respond to what you want, and we'll say that he comes in then.
Well, I'm in a group of people, but I'm really tempted to see what I can do if I can save this guy and try to shoot the creature.
Well, you could hit it with all you've got.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do then.
So, Raj, as you're kind of, obviously this is all happening really fast, but we're explaining it a lot slower, you know?
Yes.
But Raj, as you're kind of processing, I want you become aware that the statues and the mask haven't actually left the podium. They're still there. They haven't had time to remove them, right? And it looks like to you, you might be wrong because the lights are going crazy, you know. That mask looks like it's shining. So you might just want to factor that into your move. But because if it's okay with you, I'm going to let Sam go, because potentially if he's going to use the bow, that's quite an instant thing.
Okay.
So if you want to do an attack, Sam, do you want to just go ahead and do that?
Okay, but I'll just say, I mean, I don't mean to.
Mm-hmm.
If Raj wants to go ahead of me, I'm fine with that too.
No, that's okay. If you're successful, I'm perfectly prepared to change what I do in response.
Okay.
I have a plan B.
Okay.
My logic is pulling a bowstring is going to be quicker than something a kind of mystical, especially the nature of mixed thing.
Yeah,
okay.
mine's a bit less reliable.
Yeah.
You know, I might just turn all the chairs into flower pots or something.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that at some point. We're definitely going to do that.
So, yeah, I'm just going to pull back and loose an arrow and hit him with all you got, and I'll tag accuracy. I don't think I have enough wherewithal to even use reveal weak spots, so I'm just going to do accuracy. And I'm tempted to tag a weakness, but I really don't want to. It looks crazy because I'm in a group of people. What say you, GM Keeper?
Say that again, sorry. But it looks crazy.
I was tempted. That's one of my weakness tags. Looks crazy. So I'm tempted to tag that, but I really don't want to.
To be honest, it's that crazy anyway. I don't think it would really matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a weakness just now, because really everybody looks crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm just at a +1 then.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Rolled an 8, so that would be a 9 total.
Cool. So hit with all you've got on a 9, 7 to 9. Choose one. So you get to choose, you take cover and secure a superior position. You get them good and get many of them. That's +1 tier. You control the collateral damage. You hold the target's attention. Or you get the upper hand, take 1 juice. So that, like, you get the upper hand, it doesn't do any damage, but you get a juice to add to another roll or another shot. You hold the target's attention, so that means you're controlling what it's doing just now for the time being, and collateral damage and all that kind of stuff. So
I think so. If I'm understanding this correctly, so I tagged it with 1, so that that would be your
power of 1.
Power. So that would be my normal, like my status to give. It would be like wounded 1.
Yep.
But with 7 to 9, what you're saying is you get them good or get many of them +1 tier. So does that mean I get to add a +1? So it would actually give me a status of +2 wounded?
That's a good question, actually. The way it says +1, we'll say yes for the time being.
Okay.
Yeah. So describe how you hit it. Is that what you're going for?
So yeah, I think my goal is really just to get to stop attacking the auctioneer. So I'm really just trying to wound it and hurt it and get it off of the auctioneer.
Yeah. Okay. So so what is the move then? Are you holding the target's attention then, instead of getting them good?
I was thinking of
getting them good. Okay.
For the extra bonus on the wound.
All right. Okay. So what happens with the arrows? How do you shoot into it? I'll tell you, it's not going to die, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, in the flickering light, it's hard for me to focus on an actual point. So I'm just really trying to maybe just a larger target of the body. So like I'm trying to hit it in the back or hit it in the stomach.
Yeah. Well, Saez it's kind of crouched over the guy. You can see its spine is kind of quite ridged and bent, you know, over. So you maybe even thud into its shoulders, or, you know, its shoulders also stick out. You know, it's quite bony looking for all its nastiness. So you can maybe hit it in the shoulder, hit it in the back if you want to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
Okay, so at that point, it looks up and lets out a horrible scream, you know, that chills you to the... I'm not bothered redoing the scream thing. And it chills you to the bone. Raj, it kind of wakens you up. And as you are feeling mythical right now, you see that little guy, little mousy guy, another guy, he's taking him away. And you think that you get the feeling that the mask is kind of glowing. You see that little guy with the moustache turn round, and Luke points at the mask and he says, the item of power, the item of power. And he pushes the other wee guy away and runs. So he's obviously seen something that you seem to be seeing.
I'm going to concentrate now, not on the creature, but on the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make a very concerted and determined effort to somehow, and I don't know how, because I still don't really know how my powers actually work, but I'm going to just try and put that mask somewhere else. Specifically, I'm going to try and put that mask in the trunk of my taxi cab outside.
So while there's a creature of the dark killing and attacking people, you're going to steal a mask.
Because I was just kind of thinking that
brilliant.
The creature was summoned by the mask.
Ah, right.
That was my thought. But I mean, if I'm barking up the wrong tree,
you can bark up any tree you want.
I could target the creature instead. Although I did have quite a good idea for targeting. Actually, I'll do that. I'll target the creature instead because I've got quite a good idea for targeting the creature.
I do like the idea of stealing this very expensive mask, I've got to say as well.
Well, no, I just thought that it was when he said the object of power. I thought he meant it was like summoning the creature.
It could be.
Okay, I'm going to use reality warping and teleport, possibly even tearing time and space.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
But that's So, but I think I've got enough pluses with just reality warping, teleport, every back alley, and I'm also going to tag something left behind, which is one of the weakness tags with my teleport, my blink abilities.
And what does that mean again? And I can't remember in context of
that. Sometimes when I teleport something, not everything comes through. Like I might appear somewhere with no shoes.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm sending something dangerous away. I don't mind if a bit of it gets left behind, to be honest.
Yeah, I quite like that idea. Well, see as you're feeling the flow of this mythic power through you, you're beginning to have a kind of this heightened sense of awareness, and it's as if not only is the mask now standing out in your consciousness, but it's almost like the creature is highlighted in your mind or your vision or your awareness. I'll say that as that's happening, and Sam's shooting this thing, you see another one out of the corner of the room emerge, and it's crawling across the back wall just behind where the statues and that are. So you've actually got two of them in the room in front of you. So I'm just letting you know that there's two of them, and you can carry on with your move.
Okay.
So it should be easy to deal with,
2d6 plus 4.
Unless it all goes wrong.
6 on the first one. So that's 10. So I've got it. And 2. So it's a total of 12.
Okay, doc. So now I'm wondering, I think this is probably...
I'm hoping that light is going to start shining out of my eyes and my mouth while I'm doing this.
Okay. I'm going to call this move an actual change the game. I don't think we actually mentioned the move name anyway, because you can kind of story tag this, right? And really you are changing the situation. So you're using your abilities to give yourself or your allies an advantage, and you get juice. So you rolled a 12 in total. On a 10 plus, you get a minimum of 2 juice. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 juice. I'll note that down in a minute. And you've actually done well with some bonuses. I'm going to give you 2 juice, and you also get to choose to scale up the effect, to prolong the effect, or to hide the effects. You basically create a story tag. So your story tag is, Mick, whatever you want to happen right now has just happened. So, Sam, you're maybe readying your bow for a second shot. Vinzer's arrived out of the darkness. You've seen that second creature, Vinzer, like literally about 5 seconds after you've arrived, it's just appeared out of the darkness. It's on the back wall. At which point, Mick's eyes start to glow and light is coming out of his mouth, and you see the mask shining, like, and there's a kind of aura around it. So, Mick, what happens? Just how do you experience?
Trying to teleport the first creature.
Yep.
But just at the last moment, I'm slightly distracted by the appearance of the second creature, which throws me off.
Mm-hmm.
So I succeed in teleporting most of the first creature and a little bit of the second one behind it.
Okay.
Like, you know, bit of its like spikies or something.
So the light, shall we make it a little bit weirder even than it already is?
Okay.
The light is beaming out of your mouth and out of your eyes, and it almost like you're burning up that first creature, and it's kind of like seems to be sucked into space, and it's almost like when you breathe in, you breathe it in. It's like it's caught into this beam of light, and when you breathe out, you don't know where it is, but because of your tags, you are tagging, all the back alleys. You hear somewhere across the city a clatter and a crash of bins as a creature lands on top of some back alley, and the rubbish in the back alley, and it's like burning in flames and disappearing in sparks. And exactly what happens with the other one. So a big lump of the creature lands and hits the deck with a thud, kind of splatters, and then just fades away. The lights flicker, the lights come back on, and they're both gone.
Is everyone all right?
Meanwhile, the place is in absolute chaos.
I'm going a bit wobbly at the knees after that, I think. I'm behaving a bit oddly. I've got jelly legs and I'm flailing around trying to support myself by hanging on to something. It's taken a lot out of me, quite literally. Well, put quite a bit into me, whichever way you look at it.
So maybe we should finish it with that then.
Okay.
So now what you have in your hands is a scene of chaos. The guy at the front, Jef, you're not sure if he's dead or alive. The crunch that you heard didn't sound very good at all. We'll leave that for next episode, and we'll say that, is there anything, being the compassionate soul that you are, Sam, is there anything you can do to alleviate this chaos? Raj, is there anything you can do to stop people losing their minds? You don't know what they've seen or what they've not seen. All you know is the atmosphere. And I will say the atmosphere has completely changed now, apart from the people's panic. And Vinzer, you just had a close call with the darkness of which you travel. And where do we go from here? We need to find out next episode.
And on that bombshell.
Dun, dun, dun.
So thank you, folks, for anyone that's joined us, and we'll see you for our next episode of City of Mist, When the World Breaks.